My name is Henri, and I am 55 years old, a chef in Lyon, France. For many years, my restaurant, Le Siège, has been a beacon of fine dining. We serve exquisite meals, each dish a symphony, a delicate balance of flavors and textures meticulously plated and presented. From the outside, my life seemed perfect. The accolades, the Michelin stars, the reservations booked months in advance, they were all there. Every morning, I would arrive before the sun, the quiet kitchen awaiting my command. The clatter of pots and pans, the sizzle of butter in a hot pan, the scent of fresh herbs and roasting meats, these were the sounds and smells of my world. I pushed my team hard, demanded perfection, and they delivered. But beneath the surface of this polished existence, there was a growing emptiness, a quiet ache that no amount of culinary success could fill. My beloved wife, Marie, had passed away a few years earlier. She was my rock, my muse, the one who truly understood the language of my heart, not just my palate. We had built Le Siège together, dreamed of its success, celebrated every triumph hand in hand. When she left, it felt as though a vital ingredient had been stripped from my own recipe for life. I continued to cook, to innovate, to maintain the high standards, but the joy, the true passion, had become a ghost in my kitchen. My success felt like a gilded cage, isolating me further. I feared that the fire that once burned so brightly within me had finally dwindled to nothing more than ash, and that I would never again feel the true connection that food could bring. This doubt, this internal nemesis, gnawed at me every single day. One crisp autumn morning, as I walked through the bustling streets of Lyon, past the ancient buildings and the vibrant market stalls, I noticed something new. A small, unassuming food truck painted a cheerful blue was parked near the university campus. Its name, Le Petit Coin, was painted in a whimsical script. My initial thought was simply to walk by, but a scent, a familiar aroma of slow-cooked meat and rich spices drew me in. I ordered a simple beef stew served on a fresh baguette. It was humble, simple, but infused with an undeniable warmth, a hint of something truly special. The young man behind the counter, Antoine, looked to be in his late 20s. His eyes sparkled with an infectious enthusiasm, even as he moved with a slight weariness that spoke of long hours. He spoke passionately about his ingredients, his dreams of bringing comfort food to the students and workers of Lyon. In him, I saw a reflection of my younger self, full of fire, before the weight of the world had settled on my shoulders. I found myself returning to Le Petit Coin regularly, not just for the food, but for the quiet observation. I'd buy a coffee and watch Antoine. He worked tirelessly, often alone, preparing everything from scratch. He used quality ingredients just as I did, but his prices were modest, designed for the budget-conscious. I tried to offer subtle advice, a word about seasoning here, a suggestion about efficiency there, but I sensed his struggles ran deeper. I saw the permits taped to his window, the ever-present challenge of bureaucracy. I saw the days when the weather was terrible and hardly anyone stopped by. I saw the wear and tear on his old truck, the engine sputtering to life with a cough and a sigh each morning. I noticed the dark circles under his eyes growing more pronounced, the cheerful blue of his truck starting to look a little faded, just like his hope. There was one particularly harsh winter week when snow fell relentlessly. Anton's truck was practically empty. I stopped by and bought everything he had left, telling him I was catering a small last-minute event, though it was a lie. He looked so grateful, but I could see the despair in his eyes. He confided in me that he was barely making rent for his small apartment, let alone covering the maintenance for the truck. He had a dream, he said, to create a place where everyone could enjoy a good, honest meal, regardless of their budget. But the reality was crushing him. He'd had a breakdown with his main oven a few weeks prior, and the repair bill had been crippling. Then, just when he thought he was catching a break, the city announced a new construction project that would block his usual spot for several months, forcing him to move to a much less visible location. He had tried everything. He had borrowed money from his family, worked extra shifts washing dishes at another restaurant at night, but it was not enough. He was at his lowest point. One gray morning, as the rain fell relentlessly, I saw him placing a small, handwritten sign on his truck. It simply read, "Closing soon." My heart sank. That sign felt like a personal failure, a stark reminder of my own lost passion, my own inability to help someone truly struggling. The internal nemesis whispered loudly that it was futile, that kindness was a luxury in a world that only valued profit. I felt a cold dread, a profound sense of helplessness wash over me. I walked away that day feeling heavier than ever, the dampness of the rain mirroring the tears I felt welling inside. I realized that my own silence, my own inaction, was allowing another person's dream to die, just as my own passion had quietly faded. It felt like a betrayal of everything Marie had believed in, everything she had encouraged me to be. I couldn't let it happen. The thought of Anton's dream fading, the light in his eyes dimming, sparked something within me. It was a familiar flicker, a warmth I hadn't felt since Marie's passing. That evening after closing Le Siège, I drove directly to Antoine's small apartment, a modest place in an older part of Lyon. The closing sign was still in the window of his truck, which was parked sadly on the street. I found him sitting at his kitchen table, a single dim light bulb illuminating his face, buried in his hands. He looked utterly defeated, a spirit broken. I introduced myself properly that night, not as just a customer, but as Henri, a chef who had faced his own battles. I told him I had seen his talent, his dedication, and his passion. He looked up, his eyes red-rimmed and weary, as if he expected me to offer empty platitudes or a small donation. Instead, I pulled a small, worn, leather-bound notebook from my jacket pocket. This notebook held the most precious secret of Le Siège, the recipe for my signature sauce Marie, a rich, complex reduction that had put my restaurant on the map decades ago. It was a sauce inspired by Marie's grandmother, adapted by us both, a symbol of our shared journey and success. Giving it away was not just sharing a recipe, it was sharing a piece of my soul, a legacy I thought I would only ever pass down to an heir or perhaps take to my grave. "Antoine," I said, my voice thick with emotion, "I am not offering you money, though I could. I am offering you something more valuable, something that took years to perfect, a recipe that carries the heart of my restaurant. It's yours if you promise to use it, to give it your own spirit, and to never give up on the dream you once shared with me at Le Petit Coin." Antoine stared at the notebook, then at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. Tears streamed down his face as he reached out almost reverently to take the book. He promised, his voice choked with emotion, that he would make me proud. He took that leap of faith, pouring every ounce of his remaining energy into his new venture. He renamed his food truck Marie's Secret Corner in honor of the sauce and the woman who inspired it. He perfected the sauce, adding his own subtle touches, making it uniquely his. Word spread quickly. The sauce, combined with Antoine's genuine passion and humble prices, created a buzz throughout Lyon. Lines began to form outside his truck, not just of students, but of families, tourists, and even some of my own customers from Le Siège. The success of Marie's Secret Corner brought a vibrant energy back into my own life. Seeing Antoine thrive, knowing that my act of kindness had sparked such joy and culinary magic, reignited the flame within me. The emptiness I had carried for so long began to fill with a warmth I hadn't thought possible. I found myself laughing more, cooking with a renewed sense of purpose, not just for accolades, but for the sheer pleasure of creating and connecting. Antoine, remembering his promise and the kindness he received, never forgot to pay it forward. He started a small mentorship program for aspiring young food truck owners, sharing not just advice, but small grants to help them get started. He partnered with local charities to provide meals for the homeless, ensuring that everyone in Lyon could experience a taste of home and kindness. My internal nemesis, the doubt that joy could return, had been thoroughly vanquished. I discovered that true legacy wasn't about the stars on the wall, but about the hearts you touched, the dreams you helped nurture. One quiet afternoon, as I was tidying Marie's old study, I found a small, faded note tucked into a cookbook she cherished. It was written in her elegant script. "Henri, my love, remember that the most delicious recipes are not just about ingredients, but about the love you stir into them and the joy you share with others." Reading those words, I smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in years. It was as if she had been there all along, guiding me to Antoine, reminding me that even in the deepest sorrow, things truly do get better, especially when we open our hearts to unexpected kindness and allow ourselves to be part of someone else's journey.